Big sky, big potential. This is Eastern Promise. Welcome to another choice cut from Eastern Promise's archive. Interviews that are being checked out from our audio library more often than a dog-eared copy of the Gruffalo, and this time we've made extra room on the broom. I'm joined by four of our region's shiniest stars of the silver screen. Craig Higgins of Norfolk Screen, Rachel Aldridge and Jim Horsfield of Screen Suffolk, and local filmmaker Crispin Buxton. Together, we explore how the filmmaking industry operates in the east of England, and whether the risk of having our best behind-the-camera talent poached is offset by the economic boost when Disney, Amazon or Netflix roll into town. So, turn off your mobile phone, unless you're listening to me on it. Grab your popcorn and bucket of fizzy drink, and prepare yourself for our feature presentation.
I don't know which order you appear on your own screens, but if I just ask perhaps Jim, then Rachel, Craig, and then Crispin to just introduce yourselves and tell us a bit about what you do in the organisations you're from. So, Jim.
Okay, so I'm Jim Horsfield. I'm Operations and Business Development Manager for Screen Suffolk, which is an organisation that was set up about 5.5 years ago when all the councils inside Suffolk came together, the district, borough and county councils, after realising there was an opportunity for filming in the region, to bring kind of productions in to manage and permit that and promote the region to film companies travelling from London because of the economic benefits that regional filming brings.
Fantastic. Rachel.
I'm Rachel Aldridge, and I job share with Jim, so I'm exactly the same as him. We're both operations and business development managers. I do exactly the same. We promote filming in Suffolk and the region.
Brilliant. Craig.
Hello. Craig Higgins. I'm one of the co-founders of Norfolk Screen, which launched in November 2020, and we set that up as an opportunity to start promoting Norfolk as a bit of a place to come and film, and also providing a free local directory for those looking for cast, crew, facilities services. And along with that, we also do a lot of webinar events, which we call Norfolk Screen Talks, to encourage people to come and learn some stuff.
Was it yourself that did the one with Lawrence Rickard?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, from Ghosts.
Yes. My daughter's a huge Horrible Histories fan, so.
Oh, okay, yeah. He's great, Larry. Yeah.
Crispin.
Hi, I'm Crispin Buxton. I'm a below the line film technician, filmmaker. I work as a production manager, line producer, location manager, assistant director, sort of just below all the money people. And for the last 7 years, I've been doing that exclusively in Norfolk under the moniker of the Norfolk Film Company. Which actually really is, it's really an energy. It's not, there is a company, but it's not run as such in any formal way. What it is, it's me and the community of filmmakers that I work with, that I bring to productions to support both homegrown productions and visiting productions coming to film here in putting it together. So, we do, everything and anything that comes here that wants to talk to me, I get involved with or not. And then I also have a 45,000 square foot hangar in darkest northwest Norfolk, near Fakenham, Rainham Hangar Studios. And we have been operating as a sort of a pop-up studio in the region for the last 5 years. We've done 3 feature films, 1 high-end TV series for Sky last year. We've got another couple of things all just about to lock in for this year, and then a smattering of training films, music videos, commercials, and sort of everything in between. And Yeah.
I mean, Crispin, I was fascinated. I've actually on my printout of questions here, I've highlighted the words below the line chemistry. For those of us like myself not steeped in the law, could you just explain below the line?
Okay, so above the line is writers, directors, script development, raising finance, cast, key, big cast, all sort of the packaging, the pulling it together, the raising the money, and then you get green for go, and then below the line is all the people who are actually making it happen.
Yeah.
So above the line, developing, raising, below the line, spend.
Yes.
Make.
Yeah, brilliant. That's where the magic happens, as it were. So what I'm really interested in how you'd characterise the state of the filming industry in the region. I don't know whether you want to sort of distinguish between Norfolk and Suffolk, and obviously Cambridge we don't have a representative of Cambridgeshire here, but are we leading lights, scrappy underdogs, beggars at the feast? How do we think about ourselves? Can I ask Rachel to go first, then Craig, Crispin, and Jim?
Well, we launched in 2016, and since then we've been working really hard to bring more filming into Suffolk primarily. Obviously, we work, whenever there's a production coming in, we're always collaborative with Craig as well, and we suggest Norfolk if we don't have what they're looking for. But before Screen Suffolk started in 2016, there was only 30 filming days registered in the county. And now last year we had 242. So we're, it's on the increase. I'd say it's becoming more and more attractive to film in this area. We're not a big, there's lots of things that need to happen, like production funds and big studios and things, which would make us, we'd very easily become a big filming hub if all those things sort of aligned and came into, happened, I think. Would you agree with that, Craig? Is it Craig next?
Yeah, Craig next.
I mean, Norfolk, last year was pretty good, I think. We probably had our most popular filming days. Would you say April time, Crispin, for the region? Didn't we have like 3 things filming in Norfolk? 2 features.
Last week of March.
Yeah.
We had Kristen Stewart in Hunstanton. We had Ken Branner in my studio, and we had Emma Thompson in
Norwich.
And I reckoned on a sort of a cursory back of a cigarette packet, that was probably the better part of 400 people on the ground engaged in physical film production in 1 week, which actually never happened even in the glory days of Anglia, because they would just be doing a series, it'd be Tales of the Unexpected, or it would be Inspector Gently, or it would be the PD James thing, but to have that level of activity in the county in 1 week was unprecedented, and it certainly signposts well for the future, because let's face it, our industry, so if they're not going to come to the east of England now, they're never going to come here.
Oh, let's keep. I'm sure they will keep optimistic. That's
exactly.
Let's get out there. Exactly. Jim, do you want to weigh in, or has that been covered? Or
yeah, no, I think same as sort of Norfolk had sort of increasing filming, we did as well. And what we're noticing is that the level of productions that are coming in are increasing. So we've always historically had lots of TV stuff come in. Might be one-off episodes or sort of small dramas. But in the last kind of couple of years, we've noticed more series coming in. We've got this Friday, we've got Magpie Murders being released on BritBox UK, which obviously we closed roads and they used a village called Kersey in mid-Suffolk. That was an Irish production that came across, but obviously Anthony Horowitz was the writer, Suffolk-based. And in comparison, we had a production in that came in, and they did a set build for about 3 months, shot for a month, and then took about a couple of months to de-rig it, and that was on a site on the East Coast. And at one point, we had 300 crew in working on the single production for a month. And the economic benefits for that is way more than just filming income, because over the production, we estimate they had about 12 to 15,000 hotel nights, which obviously is an enormous boost to the local economy. And local power suppliers, waste suppliers, catering suppliers, cleaning suppliers.
Yeah.
So we're looking at it from a much wider point of view, as I'm sure Norfolk is as well. The economic impact is absolutely massive,
So,
and that's only going up.
You very handily bring me on. I'm just going to jump around because you've raised one of my later questions, and let's dig into that now. I mean, it's from the point. I'm just interested whether it's all good, it's all gravy for everyone, and when a big production comes in, everyone gets a piece of it somewhere, or whether one or other, somebody somewhere thinks it loses out. But I personally, I think it's a zero. It's not a zero-sum game. We all win. But I'm just intrigued whether that's just my inherent and ill-informed optimism, or whether that's really how it happens. So, Crispin, perhaps you could speak to that as someone who's based making films in this region, whether sort of a Netflix or an Apple Plus coming in has a negative or a net positive.
I don't think you can. There's not a negative.
Good.
I mean,
that's what I thought.
Simply isn't. Well, I mean, and as Jim was referring to, then the wider impact of what we do, what film productions do, unlike any other business, is they engage with right across the communities in which they work.
Yeah.
So it's the hotel, it's the B&B, it's the local chip shop, it's the local power. I mean, it is absolutely everybody. You go into a village, and people get involved in being in the background, in casting, and this, that, and the other. We have an opportunity, and this is the difficult bit when you start talking to authorities. Is authorities seem to be obsessed. The economic model is obsessed by the concept of inward investment, and we get that. That's what everybody talks about. But the bit that no one really can quantify, which is the unique beauty of what we do, is what it does to people's souls and spirits. To have a film crew come and show something that's going on, and you give someone a job. And and there's a notion around our industry that it's impossible to get into, and and yes, but that's a perceptual difference. If you go onto any film set anywhere, you'll find a little smattering of people who, Oxford and Cambridge and blah de blah de blah, and you'll find a little smattering of people whose father was in the business and da. You'll also find a whole load of people who found them on a film set randomly.
Yeah,
it turned up in our village. I asked for a job. Someone said, do this. Someone turned up at my recording studio 35 years ago and asked if they could use the studio. I said, yeah, but actually I'm selling it. And he said, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know anything. He rang me up the next day, said, do you want to drive a minibus on this shoot? 35 years later, and our business does that. And all around the county, productions that I've been involved with, there are people who have been touched and engaged in the process, some for financial benefit, but some not necessarily, but every single one of them positively.
Yeah.
And there is a thrill. I mean, we haven't been overrun yet. We're not the southeast of England. I love the fact of film companies coming in and spending their money here. I love all the work that you guys are doing, but we don't actually want to be overrun.
No.
Because then we spoil the beauty of what we have. People come here to make films not only because of our locations, not only because of that, but actually they come here because there's a quality to the work they can do here, the ease with which they can go about it, the general welcome they will have from the communities in which they work, which you don't get in the southeast of England or in Manchester or in Glasgow, where they are absolutely rammed. And you're fighting for availability on that street or that person or this crew member. Come to East Anglia and enjoy your work.
Absolutely. I'm gonna every week when I put this out, I pull a quote out of the interview.
That is the quote, isn't it?
It's
the quote.
There are some interviews you do, and you just think, I hope this really livens up. because at the moment I'm a bit worried that it's going to have to sit on a shelf. And there are some that are pure gold. And I have to say, that's broken the speed record for me. That's brilliant.
Well done, Crispin.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if you heard, I think it was a week or so ago, Radio 4, the PM programme went up to Halifax where Disney Plus are shooting. And they were interviewing, as Crispin said, they were interviewing the cafe where Samuel L. Jackson, and she missed him and she was gutted, had a coffee and oh, he's very good for Halifax. And I suppose what I wanted to get into in my head and understand is how it works when people are looking for a location to film. I mean, do they, especially either from the UK TV, Netflix, big studios, do they already have something in mind they're looking for? Or do you literally have to grab a location scout off the train, throw them in a taxi before any other region can get their hands on them? How does it work? Can I start with Craig and Rachel, Crispin, and actually Craig, Rachel, Jim, then Crispin?
Okay, so for us, I mean, we'll get inquiries and we'll kind of either direct people, because we're very much a signposting service for Norfolk Screen. So we'll signpost them to our website, our locations directory, or we can email them to other people in the districts just to kind of come up with some ideas. But usually we have a bit of a brief, to be honest with you. But sometimes people just come to Norfolk because they're looking for something, maybe, I don't know, something kind of, a bit Charles Dickens or something historical period. So they already know the region, so they'll come up and they'll do a bit of scouting and go from there, really. Okay,
I mean, Elm Hill is the one that always springs to mind, isn't it, for everyone? Or the beach at Holcombe. But Rachel, what is it a similar thing for you? Because
it's similar. Sorry.
No, so I noticed all the I've sort of printed. I've got sort of literally sheaf here. I'm for the purposes of audio, I'm showing a large wad of paper with films printed out and where they filmed. And you mentioned Jim. You mentioned Kersey, and that's the tower. There is in one of my favourite episodes of Campion from the 90s. Looks at the lake, fantastic. But sorry, Rachel, go on.
Yeah, so we'll use that as an example. The Magpie Murders shoot. They obviously knew they wanted to film in Suffolk, but the location, we've been in touch with them for quite a while, and with Jill Green, the executive producer, and the location manager contacted us sort of early part of last year and said, we're looking for a quintessentially Suffolk village. And we got together all the ones that we knew, and they went and scouted them and chose Kersey because it was the most easily controllable one. And what we do is we permit on behalf of the council, so we can apply to close the road on behalf of the council and make the process really quite much easier. But yeah, so that's how that one came about, and they were definitely looking for Suffolk. But like today, we've had an inquiry for American-style roads, military air bases for a new feature film. So I've just put together a package of locations, and I've sent those off, and then hopefully they're going to come and scout in a week or so. And we always offer ourselves up as we'll come and show you around. We try and be as welcoming as possible. we try and be as proactive as possible to get people actually here to look. Because once people come here, they can see exactly what the region's got to offer, and then we can we've got preferential rates with hotels. We've got a free crew database like Norfolk Screen do, so we can offer crew and things like that. So it's sort of the whole package really, rather than just the locations. We can sort of try and sell the region as a really attractive place to film.
Okay, brilliant. Jim, do you have anything to add, or as Rachel previously? Sorry, Jim, I seem to be giving you last all the time.
It's fine, no problems. So Screen Suffolk, because we work on behalf of the councils and we've got devolved powers to authorise permits, we manage all council locations. So if somebody wants to use a road or a street or a council building, then they come via us. And if anybody even wants to do on-street filming, they come via us, and we authorise that and sort of issue permits. But because we've also got the council locations, we also sign up private locations. So we're kind of like a mixture of council and private locations. So we've got stately homes, we've got private beaches, we've got arable land, we've got a plethora of sort of locations all across the county. And what we'll find as well, and sort of Craig will probably find this as well, is that if we can get the production hooked in on their key location, so say, for example, they're looking for a stately home, if we can get that in Suffolk and get the production to agree on that, they'll then look out from there and say, right, we actually need a little cottage, we need a country lane, we need a bar, we need a pub. So they'll kind of look for the key location. That's one of the things where I know that we're very successful because we have all this full range of over 500 locations. That once they've found the key location, we then fan out and look for all the secondary locations.
Yeah, Crispin, how does it work for you in terms of your slightly different field from the other three? Do you sort of get out there and entice people in, or is it literally the phone that never stops ringing, so you can choose what you do?
Well, I mean, for me, it's all it's always script led. Generally speaking, so it's script led or with the sort of the new sort of pop-up studio offer. It's kind of studio led, and I will. As a location manager who's been around for a long time and sort of with a little bit of a Norfolk hat, in the land of the blind man, the one-eyed man is king, so, I get a lot of calls from, and I don't mean that but, let's be honest, we have been on the periphery of film production. There's, you go to London, there's 700 location managers. You come to Norfolk, there's 3 of us. Hello, that's just the way it is. So I get calls, I get a project, I get a brief from within my network of people, and I will go out and take pictures, or I will, I'm a freelancer, so I try not, I do a lot actually, but I try not to run around like a blue-ass fly not being paid, but it does happen, and one of the things that we're all in the same boat with here, with our common vision for this area, is that at some level we kind of have to put out a bit to make people come here, and then once we've got them here, we also have to be, what we have to do is we have to be very, very cute on our pricing, because we don't yet have the fullest range of really, really tip-top crew. We have lots and lots and lots. I'm my shows that I'm doing here at the studio, this and the other, we're getting to 50% local. But every production that is going to come here is more or less likely to come with key HODs and preferred teams. So there's always going to be that full accommodation thing, So, no producer wants to spend, producers want money on the screen in front of the camera. They don't want it in the hotel industry, much as we know the economic benefit with our other hats on, but we want it on screen. So we have to nail the costing. So if it's going to cost you X amount of money to put it on, to put a whole load of people up to come here, and we need to make sure that all of our other costs are sufficiently cute to offset that.
Yeah.
So the starting point is Norfolk, Suffolk, middle of nowhere. Second point is financial controller goes, we have to come in and go, no, but you might put your money in your hotels and you might have to pay your per diems. But when you get here, and here, it's so much cheaper and more efficient to work here that you're offsetting that cost. It's not actually more expensive. So that's the challenge we all have, is we have to not be greedy. We have to be really, really, really attractive. And beyond the beautiful beach and a building, we have to be across the board. We have to be really, really, really attractive.
Yeah, I want to come to Craig in a second, but I just wanted to follow you up on that, Crispin. Is what kind of assistance do you get from sort of local authorities and organisations like the Local Enterprise Partnership to make that as easy as possible?
Is that for me?
Yeah, so Crispin, because you make a very interesting point.
Okay, so in respect to all of the district councils that I've worked with, brilliant.
Great, yeah.
Brilliant. better than anywhere I've worked, and I've worked everywhere. Honestly, brilliant, so helpful, so welcoming, so complete.
They're enthusiastic.
Just enthusiastic, and also just understanding what we were saying earlier. Understanding the value of having someone come and shoot there and da-di-da-di-da. And oh my goodness me, look, there's Chroma Pier on BBC One from the 29th of November till the 7th of January, 8 times a day. Fill your boots in Chroma. We'll look after you because they've got it.
Yeah.
So, so that they are brilliant. The LEP and the other kind of investment and authorities, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of the right noises, but tremendously tricky to actually make it happen, because what we deal in is not what they deal in.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I was made of London brick and I needed some foundations dug for me to go in, they'd be funding me till the cows came home, but I'm not. No. I run around like a lunatic trying to make things happen for film, and they find it quite difficult. And I'm sure, we've all had these. We all know the LEP. They're lovely. We're all great. Lots and lots of.
I'm not.
But the evidence at this point does not say that the LEP is really working for our industry, because there is no significant LEP investment in any film-related project in our region.
No.
And we've probably all talked ourselves blue in the face with them to try and change that.
Right. Okay. So I feel like you've challenged me now.
We're saying on a podcast. But there we go.
Maybe. I mean, to me, as someone who sort of spent his career sort of on the periphery of everything almost, seems like what this is great. This is a no-brainer. Let's get out there and do something. And I hope one of my dreams for this podcast is that it might uncork a bottle or two and
stir
get
the
things
pot,
going.
Mike.
Exactly.
That's what I like to hear, which is interesting, because I was going to just add a little bit to that. We had a production that wanted to shoot this way, but they were looking for an incentive fund. That's what they wanted. They just wanted a little bit of money, not loads. We approached the councils and the LEPs and other authorities, and there was a no-go because we haven't got the cash there to do it. But, I think making the noise is so important, because someone's going to start listening, and we know if we can just invest a little bit in something, we're going to get a lot in return.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So the interesting point that Rachel and Jim were making about how Screen Suffolk operates is that do we have an equivalent Norfolk body, or perhaps a Cambridgeshire body? And if we don't, do we need one?
Well, one of the reasons we set up Norfolk Screen was just so that we could at least put a flag in the sand, so to speak, so that we were here. So if productions do want to reach out to us, that they can, and that we were able to provide that kind of free public directory of what we've got here, because we don't have it in Norfolk, and you can go and speak to people, but there's nothing on a website anywhere that you can Google and find for like crew, for example. So we created that. But I do know that Norfolk County Council have commissioned a body called Aldridge, who are going to pull together this wonderful report, and it's going to be released on the 17th of February, I believe. There's going to be a meeting, so not long. So we'll find out if there's anything from that, what they're going to be recommending for Norfolk. It'll be really interesting to see.
Right. Okay. I shall look at that with interest. No, let's.
Why are you shaking your head?
Lucky. This isn't a visual podcast, is it?
No. He said, no, it's not. It's all audio. If I do. Okay. It's all right. I'll cut that bit out.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe let's see what we. Well, let's see. I mean, I'm not empowered.
Crispin, you do make me laugh.
I don't have special powers, but let's see what we can do. So, where's my list of questions? So, you've mentioned a lot about the amount of skilled people we do have here. Is there a sufficient chain of people coming through, or is that something that needs developing? Because I've spoken to, particularly in Haverhill, on one of my first shows, a chap called was the first show, a chap called Andy Hunter, wanted to come on and talk about his sixth form offer for the the creative sector. He wanted to improve the amount of courses and things he had available to train people in not the behind the camera arts. And that was, let's say, that's one of the first people I had on to sort of wave the flag for that and said, this is what I want to do. So perhaps start with Jim this time. What's the skills picture look like for the creative in the filmmaking sector here?
It's growing, because you've got lots of people coming out of college with sort of media courses and media degrees. But there is always, currently, there is the London bleed, which is basically you graduate, you want to get onto a film set or work in production, and you generally go to London. I did that. I know Rachel did that as well, where we sort of had to go to London, apply our trade and our craft, and then sort of when we're sort of a bit older, we've got families and that sort of stuff, we kind of move back out to Suffolk. So I think there's still a London bleed, but I think it is changing with organisations such as Screen Skills, where people are being given more practical opportunities. And Screen Suffolk is part of a larger organisation called Film Fixer, which is now operating a new course called Set Ready Training, which there've been a number of them. I think they've done about 6 cohorts so far. One of them was done in West Suffolk at the end of last year. And it's a real kind of practical 3-day course on how to be ready to go onto set. So you can kind of go and study at university and that sort of stuff, but actually stepping onto a set, it's when you first go on there, it's almost like a foreign world. You're using all these different terminologies and that sort of stuff that are unfamiliar to most sorts of people. And you kind of go onto a big film set, being a fresh student. Where do you stand? How do you act? What's the line of management? So there are courses that are being brought online, which kind of addresses that. You've got the academic side of things, but you actually need the practical experience. So the Set Ready Training course does really simple stuff like how to operate a radio. Because that's really important. If you can't communicate on set and you don't know how to use a radio and where to stand, you're going to find it a lot harder. And one of the things about Set Ready is that you then get a placement on a film within an area. And actually, most people that have done the cohort so far are now going on and are working full-time on daily jobs. And a lot of them have been taken on by Netflix and Disney. So there is a path, but we know there's a massive production boom going on at the moment. And there's lots of people at the entry level that are trying to get their first break into the industry. There's a few more mid-level, but as Crispin said earlier on, most head of departments, HODs, come as a package from London. What we're finding in Suffolk is that people, because we don't have a studio currently, people won't base the whole production here. They'll be based at a studio somewhere around the M25, and then they'll come out for 2, 3, 4 weeks. And it's part of the studio shoot as well. So they'll bring all the HOD and the key people out to Suffolk or Norfolk to do the shoot. And that's been more complicated over the last couple of years with COVID.
Yeah.
So, for example, you can't just bring somebody on board for a day because there's very rigorous PCR COVID testing. So myself and Rachel weren't able to go. Well, we were able to go and stand at the periphery of Magpie Murders when that was being shot, but we weren't able to go into the set purely because of the really rigorous PCR testing. And we'd have had to travel going on set, travel to a different location, get a PCR test. And that's because there was an Irish production coming in. At the time, the Irish weren't receiving vaccines and they were understandably very concerned. So there was almost like a barrier. So you can't just bring somebody on for a day.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to carry on for a while.
Yeah.
With this sort of the very rigorous testing. But I think the pathways are there, the opportunity is there, but it's matching up the people that have got the skills to the locations and the places when it's available.
So I'll come on to Rachel now and then sort of go around Craig and then Crispin again. Rachel, is there are there any educational providers, colleges in the region that you particularly want to give a good shout out to at this point in terms of what they're doing and helping people get ready? Or is that something you'd like to see develop more of in the sort of
Well, I mean, West Suffolk College are really, they've got a great level 4 digital production course, which has got some, and they're pretty innovative in the way that they run the course. They've just, last year they made a film called Maximus, actually with a Norfolk production company called Submotion. Rachel and Richard Prendergast went on and worked with all the students on the level 4 production course, and they made this amazing short film which ended up getting shown at Cannes. It was made to a very, very high standard, and you know, the course leader there, Ben Pryke, is really proactive about getting those students proper on set experience, working with, you know, professionals, and they've got a GoFundMe page for their new production called The Sheriff. They just emailed about that, so they're looking for funding for that. So yeah, every year they're going to make a short film, and it gives all those students on that course such a really good grounding in the industry. Jim and I also go out to most of the colleges in Suffolk, you know, across over the year, and do sort of information sessions and talks about how to get into the industry, and just a sort of brief overview of what we do and things like that. It's been mostly online, obviously, for the last couple of years. Yeah. But yeah, we try, and so we go to Suffolk Suffolk New College. They've all got good courses. Yeah, can you think of any others, Jim?
No, I think they're the kind of main ones, aren't they?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Craig, do you want to sort of comment on the skills pipeline?
I think we're Norfolk, I think we're really lucky with the universities that we have here. We have two excellent universities, you know, University of East Anglia and the Norwich University of Arts, both offering film. And I know UEA have now got a production element to their film, because it used to be quite theory-based, but they are actually offering a production course as well. And also we have City College Norwich, which offer media production courses. Again, they're absolutely brilliant. I think it's a bit of chicken and egg, really, isn't it? Because obviously the more productions you get here, the more opportunities those students are going to get to be runners. So going on set and seeing what it's like. And we want that to happen. We want more people here so that they get them opportunities. And I know that universities would love that for their students, because my experience from speaking with a lot of students is that they want to stay in Norfolk. They absolutely love being here, but you know, they are then taken away to Manchester or London because they think that's where they need to go for the work.
Yeah.
But then there are also other great services like, I know Jim mentioned Screen Skills. They do a trainee finder. Crispin, did you use any of those for the souvenir, the Screen Skills trainee finders or anything like that? No. But they do offer placements and opportunities for young people as well.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And all the students from West Suffolk College who undertook the Set Ready training, they are all going to get paid work on productions in Suffolk when they graduate. That's sort of part of the course. So they'll then get their sort of first job on a production through us. So yeah. So it's all about just getting people work in the region, trying to keep them here.
Crispin, do you want to speak to your experience with the skills situation?
Yeah, what Craig said. You know, NUA, Norwich University of the Arts, is incredible. And I have had, through the studios and on productions that I've worked it out, was just on the phone with him this morning. I've had over 20 kids out of NUA, either recently graduated or even some second and third year students actually coming out onto sets. If they're undergraduates, they tend to come out for expenses only and do a little bit of an internship. But if they're actually coming through it and out the other side of it, they've ended up getting, maybe do one gig for no money for a couple of weeks or something. And then I noticed them, and then they come back. And I've had 20 people come through me. And I would say that NUA produce set-ready students. Yeah. They really, really are impressive, actually. One of the challenges you always have, I think, that traditionally we've always had with film and television and media production courses, is you get lots and lots and lots of people coming out there who are writer, producer, directors.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But what about camera? What about lighting? What about grit? What about the technical crafts? And I think that's really where the problem is. And I'm just doing it right now on another show that's coming up. And I'm awash. I'm awash with production. I'm awash with art department. I'm awash with costume. I'm awash with makeup and wardrobe. I can give you 1 second AC. I can give you 1 AC. give you one cinematographer, but actually no, he's left the county years ago. Couple of grips, but no trainee grips, you know. 2 gaffers, but they spend all their life working away, and no one else. So I think the big issue is in the technical crafts, and in these courses producing film technicians, not wannabe producers and directors. And then the other challenge we have, I think, which is good and bad, is, again, just pulling together my list for this particular and touching base with people who I've already worked with, is we get a few of them and they come out and they're on a show and we love them, they love them. Oh my goodness me. They take them with them.
Yeah. Fever.
Hang on, all these guys we trained up, we gave a break to, they're not here anymore.
Yeah.
I've literally come off the phone with half a dozen people who we started at the studio 18 months and 2 years ago. They're gone to me. They're out. They're gone. Sorry, I'm on this job for 6 months. Oh, sorry, I'm on an Amazon job. Because people come in here, producers, production people come in here, meet someone, love them. And that's the nature of the business, you know.
Yeah.
You get your foot in the door, you do a good job, you're personable, you're helpful, you're good at your job, people like you, and they'll take, because they're, you know, it's like gold dust. If you're crewing up, it's gold dust to find people who are talented, enthusiastic, got initiative, and above the all are just helpful. You know? Yeah. So there's challenges, I think.
I was going to mention as well, there's also another organisation that's called the BFI Film Academy that's run in Suffolk and in Norfolk. And that's for 16 to 19-year-olds, and that's very practical, week-long course going through the process. That's available to anybody. You don't have to have any sort of experience in the past. And that's a really great course, and that's run by Alice and Alex from Creative Nation.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, I've helped out on some of those courses as well, and you kind of get people in at the start of the week, and they've never put a script together, they've never done any editing or anything, and by the end of the week, they've gone through the whole process with experienced people. I know sort of Guy Myhill, who shot the Goob, sort of Norfolk based, he kind of goes and works on that as well. It's a real practical, hands-on, and at the end of the week, they come out with a film. So they've actually got the start of their CV saying, I have got experience. It's in a sort of very quite a soft setting, but it gives them a taster. And that's another really good opportunity for people.
And the confidence as well, I think, as well, Jim, doesn't it, to then progress on to either applying to college to do a course or going to university to do something that they're interested in.
Exactly. And they get to do every aspect of it. And you'll see after 4 or 5 days, someone's like, I want to be an editor. One other person is, camera's where I want to be. So it's giving them a taste. So they've got some idea of which direction they might want to go in.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because one of the reasons I started doing this was I was recovering from an illness and I'd had to give up my previous employment. And I was volunteering with a friend who ran a recording studio and digital transfer business on the Norfolk-Suffolk border, and because he was suffering from terminal cancer and he just needed an extra pair of hands once, twice a week. So I'd go down there and sit and do things like pull together vintage BBC interviews from like the 50s, when the sound is on another reel, and just integrate the two. And I just found that fascinating. And I think that the less I have to hear my own voice and see my own face, the better. So that's really interesting that we need those skills. And I think there's a real opportunity for providers there. Andy Hunt, again, if you're listening, that's your cue, as they say. One of the things I love doing this because it mainly allows me to satisfy my own curiosity about things. But obviously, you've got productions like, and I'm going to keep mentioning this, sorry, you've got The Avengers coming here, and you've got Stardust filmed on Elm Hill, where the region is not, the locations in the region are not acting as themselves. They're acting as other places, in sometimes fantastical places. How do you go about convincing people? Because obviously you've got Crispin mentioned the big cities. You've got Liverpool Docks doubling as New York, Glasgow again. How do you go about convincing people that what they're looking for can be found here on a place that's when what they're looking for is not findable on planet Earth, if I can put it that way? anyone want to jump in on that? Sorry, Rachel.
Well, I mean, I think location managers have the vision to see things that, you know, that they're looking for if they can, and there's always art department. And you know, for the personal history of David Copperfield, Bury St Edmunds featured as Victorian London, and they closed down their whole of the Angel Hill and turned that into Victorian London. And on screen they just put some pools in the background, and then it's voila, we're in London. You know, it's easily done, isn't it? And was when they filmed at King's Lynn for that, was that meant to be King's Lynn, or was it meant to be somewhere else?
It was meant to be Great Yarmouth.
It was meant to be Great Yarmouth. That's right. Yeah. So, which isn't a big stretch, is it? I'm trying to think of other locations. Obviously, another one we had is the Dig, which is obviously meant to be Suffolk, so that wasn't very difficult either. But I think location managers know when they see a place if it can work as something else. I think, you know.
I mean, the Amazon series that we had shooting all the way through last summer, it's meant to be South Carolina.
Yeah. So
they were looking for a cliff. Don't have many cliffs in Suffolk. We've got what I would call hillocks and brows, depending on the camera angle. So that was meant to be South Carolina, and originally they were going to be shooting in South Africa, but COVID hit, that got pulled, so they had to go and find somewhere. And obviously, it's amazing things that you can do in post-production. So it adapted very well.
So, Craig, is there any? Are you just acting as a sort of signposting service, and they say, we're looking for this, that, or the other?
Yeah. Well, that is kind of what we do. But like Rachel was saying, location managers are great because they've got the vision, they know what they're looking for, and also production designers. I was just thinking of like Jingle Jangle, for example, that was on Elm Hill. I know Gavin, who's the production designer, he was a production designer for Stardust as well, and used that street. So I think he was able to then recommend that as part of it, from what I heard. So people have the vision, don't they? That's the thing. And then Crispin, I'm just thinking you've managed to do lots of doubles, things like with London in the Souvenir. So yeah, with King's Lynn, didn't you as well?
Yeah, I mean, you can do it. You can do an enormous amount. I mean, I don't think that. I mean, I'm not. Well, I am actually. That's ridiculous. I am. I spend a lot of time trying to persuade people that you can shoot the living. My studio hat is it's classic. It's nothing new. It's not rocket science. It's what's gone on in film for very, very many, many years. You're based in the studio, you got your standing sets and your weather cover, and then you shoot the living daylights out of everything within 35, 40 minutes of the studio base. And on the Souvenir, we shot King's Lynn. We shot King's Lynn for Cambridge and Soho on the same 2 days, 150 yards apart from each other, the two sets. We shot London and Soho in Norwich on Souvenir Part 1. And I think the thing is that we're not going to give you the Alps, and we're not going to give you Canary Wharf. That is what we're not going to give you. But you do your second unit stuff, your big wide second unit stuff, your scene setting stuff, and the fact of the matter is that across the United Kingdom, at ground level, in one way, shape, or form, architecture is generic. A red brick terraced house in King's Lynn is the same as a red brick terraced house in London, Manchester, Hull. So architecture. So if you're shooting your bigger and your wider stuff elsewhere, your establishers, you come down and shoot on the ground, and you've got the magic of the camera and a production designer, and you can make anything look like anything. So I think it's difficult, but again, I come back to the fact, and what you've been alluding to, I come back to the fact that you start with a project and a script with a particular vision and a couple of particular ideas, and designers and location managers who we know what we're looking for, we know kind of what you can cheat. You've got a sort of a starting thing. It's very difficult for what, the space we're in. It's very difficult to go out there and go, come to Norfolk. We can be Iceland.
Yeah.
I mean, come to Norfolk. We're Sydney.
Yeah.
You really sell that. It's really around, it's something to do with the, the script initially, a production initiative, and of course we must not forget what the question that comes up again and again and again. It's almost the first question out of the starting blocks with producers, not location managers, designers, but producers is there a production fund in the region?
Yeah.
And at some level, the international production landscape, location, destination landscape is hugely competitive, and producers will always follow the money.
Yeah.
Mm.
And as long as we don't have that fund here, we will remain at a huge disadvantage to all of the other regions in the United Kingdom and internationally with whom we seek to compete on a level playing field. It's not level.
Yeah. Okay. Right. I'm sorry. It's a hangover from my previous life. I just immediately start thinking of, right, what can we do? What can we do? How can we change that? Forgetting that I'm no longer doing that job. But nevertheless,
You got a spare fiver? I've got a film to make.
Oh, right. Okay. I shall inspect the back of my sofa, and probably all the discarded pasta that I'll find down there. Right, where was I? Is that I wanted to sort of talk before we start winding up about the impact of gaming, because gaming is obviously getting more and more and more sophisticated, and whilst it isn't taking the same, I would think the same types of using the same types of sort of craftspeople as filmmaking, there will be a lot of overlap. I mean, I know, for example, in Haverhill, at the epicenter there on the top floor, there is a growing gaming studio that's doing lots of green screen and lots of motion capture. Do you get inquiries from gaming companies in the same way you do filmmaking companies, or do they have any impact at all? The blank looks suggest that this is one that's going to be excised in the edit. No, okay, that's right. Just thought that's a question. I just thought. I mean, Crispin, do you have any relation, any contact with the people looking to make media for games, or is it just pure filmmaking?
To be brutally honest, no, but it's something that I think we're all aware of. That is. It's so similar. I mean, why there isn't more crossover.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think the main thing would be, I think that it would most of the gaming stuff is by definition going to be studio-based green screen, motion capture, blah 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 blah. So the absence of the studio facilities here is a disadvantage to us in trying to attract them. And I don't think, pretty much know that, people shooting gaming stuff are not coming up here to run around in the field behind my house.
Yeah.
So it's something I think we've got our industry and what we're all doing. I think we have some work to do to engage with that business, which is clearly huge.
Mm-hmm.
And with Cambridge being right at the forefront of games developers and games producers, so it's happening in our region, and I think that there needs to be some engagement between the two.
Yeah, that's lucky. I have some regular contact with Asa Burrows in his gaming studio, so I'll have a word now. Just quickly, Rachel, is there? I'll start with Rachel. Is it a case that when the phone rings or the email comes in, it's like it's an equal, it's all the same to you? Not all the same to you. That's a terrible way of phrasing it. But is it a case of whether it's like a TV series, a film, whoever it is, you think, great, that's another production, or are there particular people you get coming in the inbox, like let's say Warner Brothers or one of the Disney outshoots that you just get really excited? Netflix. You go, look. So
No, I mean, no, I don't think I make any more effort for them than I would for anyone else.
It's just simply a reflection of excitement over who it is and the scale of the production that it'll be.
Yeah, you know, when you hear that there's a big Disney Plus series that are wanting to film, you want to get them to Suffolk. I want to get them to Suffolk. I want to get them to the region. I want them to come here. So, you know, I'll obviously do my best to try and get them here by sending them out the best locations that we have, by giving them the best service that we can.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I hope I do that for everyone. But yeah, no, it would be, you know, when we get like a big Amazon Prime series like we had last year, it was really exciting, and it also gets everyone else really excited as well. You know, people across the county were really excited about it, residents and parish councils, and everyone sort of works together to really make it work and to make sure everyone feels as welcome as possible in the county. So yeah.
Brilliant. Is anyone else? Craig, is it similar to you, or is it just like?
Well, yeah, I think it's, you know, obviously we'll treat everyone the same that we get through, and then we'll liaise with the districts if they've got any locations that they can recommend. But it is, you know, it is exciting when you do see some of those things coming through, because you know how amazing it could be for the region and for film tourism as well. You know, that's kind of the other impact that it can have, being able to create jobs in the region, seeing it on the big screen. It is thrilling, isn't it? You know, it's amazing to see those things.
Can I just say, it's not always glamorous. It sounds glamorous.
Yeah.
8 hours in a field on the coast last year waiting for the Grand Tour to launch a 30-ton trebuchet, flinging a car. And I can tell you, it was not a fun day. Freezing cold and raining, being told it's going to go in 2 minutes, and after 7 hours it got launched.
Oh dear.
That's a long day, Jim.
Yeah.
They also serve who stand and wait.
Yeah.
Right, now, okay, last questions. One of the things I like to do on the show is, when I round up an interview, is just ask a fairly whimsical question. Unfortunately, I've actually written 4. So I'm going to launch into them, and just very quick fire, get your answers, and no particular order. But the best depiction of our region on screen, TV, film, anything you like. Anyone? Your favourite, then, rather than best.
The Dig.
Well, yeah.
Love seeing the reeds. You know, that's where it's really close to where I live as well. So I love that.
Yeah, we visited Sutton Hoo not long after we watched that film. So
did lots of people.
Yeah, I bet they did.
Yeah.
I had their busiest August since 2000, since they opened last August. You know, massive increase in visitor numbers. So that just shows the sort of screen tourism. Yeah.
Anyone else?
I think for me, it's a personal history of David Copperfield. Myself and Rachel, it was the first kind of major Hollywood film that came into the region since we'd started working for Screen Suffolk. And we were dealing with one of the best location managers in the business, Harriet Lawrence. And seeing her turn it around, I mean, there were months and months of planning for 1 or 2 days shooting. And getting there in the morning, seeing it kind of just happen, do the filming, and then, I mean, Angel Hill looks absolutely stunning. And then probably by about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it was turned back to the car park in front of the Angel Hotel. And just seeing the speed and the quality of work that was done on that really set a precedent and set the bar for other productions that come into the county.
Anyone else? Craig, do you have a favourite?
Yeah, I mean, I love David Copperfield. I mean, we didn't work on it at Norfolk Screen, but it was so lovely being able to see, you know, King's Lynn, and also I really like things like Fighting with My Family, being able to see like Norwich Market on there. You know, it's wonderful to be able to see those kind of things.
Fighting with My Family, of course, was a huge disappointment, because they came, the entire thing, the Norwich story, Norwich family, Norwich this, that, and the other. And they shot for 1 day in Norwich and 1 day in Yarmouth, and the whole of the rest of it was somewhere else. Huge disappointment, huge opportunity missed. For really engaging the community. And unfortunately, somehow all of us up, we all, you know, it came up here. I knew how it came up here because one of my former assistants was the location manager on. She rang me up and going, I'm on my way up to Norfolk. Where would I park a thing in Yarmouth? I go, what are you doing? What are you doing in Yarmouth? I said, well, I'm doing this wrestling thing. I went, you're not. Oh my God, no. And it was already set in stone. The first anybody knew about it was Emma popping up here to look for a couple of days filming.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing had been set up. The producers didn't even consider coming here.
Yeah.
It never crossed their mind. So that was a real disappointment. I'm with you guys on David Copperfield, though. I mean, I've done a few things, but I have to say that. So I did the Norfolk bits as the Norfolk sort of production services location manager thingy, and it was that particular team led by Harriet, but also the production designer. I mean, everybody on that show was brilliant, professional beyond. And just to give you, and this is the kind of the quality. This is a really nice story to end on, actually. So this is a month or so, 6 weeks, 7 weeks setting up, filming on Weybourne Beach, Cly Marshes, and King's Lynn. And of course, they're moving around the county, and they've been to Bury, and they've come back again, and they've gone up to Hull. I mean, they literally, in terms of a show, what a wonderful show to be on as a location manager designer, because it was about the locations. It just led. They didn't go, oh, we can't shoot further than 10 feet from the studio. Oh, we're not traveling there. No. If they needed to go to Hull for that street, they went there. Yeah. So this shooting crew had been all around the country, I mean, 2 or 3 days here, there, and everywhere, just diving in, diving out, whilst on the ground people were putting together over a much longer period of time. And on day 2, the producers of that show turned up at Weybourne Beach. The second day they were on the beach, turned up, walked into the car park, and one of my security men came up to me with tears in his eyes, because the producer had walked in to the car park, got out the car and said, "Morning, Lee, how you doing?" He went, God, he remembered my name.
Yeah.
I had a beautiful young kid who I literally randomly met his mum on the beach a couple of weeks beforehand, when we were setting it up. And he's a kid, really delightful kid, on the spectrum, beautiful, does wonderful sort of comic book design, graphic-y thing. And I got him, I said, come and be on the show. We'll give you a few quid and just come and be around. And he was just an absolute darling, and his complete, just sort of big, wide-eyed joy and enthusiasm to be on this massive machine, with Peggotty's upturned boat 250 yards down a shingle beach. Yeah. Diggers, tractors, trailers, cranes, everything to try and facilitate it. And on the second day, the producer comes in and goes, "Where's Dominic? How's Dominic doing today?"
Oh, wow.
Went to see him. And then Kevin Loader wrote the most beautiful email I've ever read from any producer, thanking the Norfolk crew and all of the crew for 2 days of what he called cinema magic in Norfolk. And, so yeah, super lovely people, super professional. And then the actual work they did and what it looked like, unsurpassed, beautiful.
Brilliant. Just very quickly, best use of our region as somewhere else. Any favourites?
Oh, well, that was it then, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was it then.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, good one.
Okay. Right. Oh, then very last one. Last film you saw, Rachel.
Last film I saw was Dunkirk.
Oh, right.
I watched it at the weekend. It was on Netflix.
There you go. Craig?
I actually watched Ghostbusters Afterlife, the newest Ghostbusters film, the other day for a little bit of popcorn magic.
There you go. Jim?
Boiling Point.
Hey.
Oh, that's really good, isn't it?
Shot. Absolutely incredible.
Oh,
fantastic.
Check it out. Amazing.
Yeah.
Crispin?
What, last film in the cinema or last film?
The last film you saw. Just anywhere.
Oh, I gave my son some education and showed him The Last King of Scotland a couple of weeks ago.
There you go. Brilliant. Well, I have really enjoyed that. This has been Fantastic. Thank you so much for giving me so much of your time and being so generous. That's been fascinating stuff. And there's so many sort of calls to action for all of us, I think, in that. So thank you very much. And I'll be in touch, and I wish you all every success, and let's grow it. Let's keep it going.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
My thanks go to Jim, Rachel, Crispin and Craig for that fascinating glimpse into the screen sector, which was originally released in March 2022. And there'll be more Best of the Guests coming again soon. Eastern Promise returns next week with episode 55, when I'll be chatting to Professor Cheryl Davenport of the East of England Local Government Association, EILGA, a membership group that represents all 50 councils in our region. We'll be discussing EILGA's landmark report into levelling up in our region, alongside the services EILGA provides. We'll also join the East of England All-Party Parliamentary Group in Westminster, hearing from MPs, council leaders and opinion formers from across the East of England. Stay tuned for that one. Until then, bye for now. Big sky, big potential. This is Eastern Promise.